The World Expo, also known as the World's Fair, was first held in London. It began as a national project, a showcase for new technologies and a symbol of a country's progress. And it marked a turning point in history, setting the idea that progress equals good as a global mindset. From there, Expo spread across Europe and the world. They grew into more than just an exhibition on different cultures. They sparked cultural paradigm shifts. For example, at the Paris Expos, Japanese art had a major influence on European culture, shaping trends in the arts. But as the Expo gained influence, they also became tools for political messaging. Picasso's Guernica, displayed at the 1937 Paris Expo, was an artistic protest against fascism, showing how Expo could function as stages for diplomacy and propaganda. The first Expo held in Asia took place in Osaka, Japan. The theme was Progress and Harmony for Mankind, showcasing cutting-edge technologies of the time, moving walkways, wireless telephones, and even rocks brought back from the moon. For Japan, this Expo symbolized post-war recovery and rapid economic growth. The recent Expos have shifted toward themes like global sustainability, climate change, and renewable energy, highlighting issues hidden behind globalization and economic growth. And now, in 2025, the World Expo has returned to Osaka. The confidence in growth sung at the previous Osaka Expo has now evolved into a deeper question of sustainability. We're moving from the belief that science and technology automatically bring happiness to a mindset that asks, who is technology for, and what purpose does it really serve? So, how will the 2025 Osaka Expo redefine the idea of progress? Let's visit a few pavilions and explore some clues together. The first pavilion I visited was the Belgium pavilion.
Have a closer look. How did Belgium become a world leader in vaccines?
When I think of Belgium, I usually imagine chocolate, so I was expecting to see some famous brands or maybe some displays about fair trade cacao. But to my surprise, Belgium went in a completely different direction. They highlighted their role as a major vaccine nation. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Belgium became a global center for vaccine production. The country has leading universities, research institutes, and major pharmaceutical companies all clustered together, especially in biotechnology and advanced medicine. On top of that, Belgium has great access to international airports and trade ports, making it easy for specialists from around the world to come and work there. Belgium has played a key role in developing vaccines that have saved countless lives. I didn't know much about this side of Belgium, so learning about it here was both educational and genuinely interesting. The Belgian pavilion also had really cute and stylish souvenirs, bags, scarves, aprons, you name it. Everything looked amazing. I didn't buy anything because honestly everything at the Expo is pretty expensive, but maybe I'll check their online shop later. And of course the chocolate section was huge, and outside there was a stand selling waffles and ice cream, so I grabbed one. As I expected, it was absolutely delicious. And by the way, the spot where I was eating my waffles was inside a place called That Ran Me. As one of the architectural symbols of this year's Expo, a massive circular structure that wraps around the entire venue. You didn't even go up to the top, walk around and enjoy a panoramic view of the whole site. I went up there at night, so I'll show you that view a little later. This is the Spain pavilion, which immediately stood out with its architecture inspired by the sea and the sun. The concept behind the exhibit is rooted in the glacial current, the ocean streams that historically connected Spain and Japan and helped foster cultural exchange. One of the first things I saw inside was a 3D hologram created with something called a hologram display fan. Basically, LED strips spin at high speed while shifting angles, and that motion creates a floating three-dimensional image. Then I came across a section presented by the Spanish algae band called BEA. They work on cultivating and preserving algae species as well as developing technologies for these organisms. In the display, algae were being curdled inside test tubes, showing these vivid, almost glowing pigments. And I learned that algae like these could contribute to all kinds of fields, from reducing CO2 emissions using marine resources, to food security, to pharmaceutical research. What interested me the most personally was how they visualized and presented these scientific topics. Issues like sustainability require cooperation from many people, so getting the public interested is really important. And I felt that creative design plays a huge role there. The colorful algae, the dynamic bubbles flowing inside the tubes, they naturally draw your attention. And around the room, multiple screens showed underwater scenes. The space was dark, so as you walked between the displays, your mind almost connected the images together, like you were walking through parts of the ocean. I don't know if that was intentional, but that's how it felt to me. The entire experience, including the spatial design, was incredibly educational and inspiring. Next up is Nuru Nuru, one of the most popular pavilions at Osaka Expo this year. Even from the outside, it had an overwhelming presence. The entire exterior looked incredibly unique. The mirrored surface ripped and shifted, almost like it was alive. And you could feel low-frequency vibration coming from inside. Because reservations are extremely competitive, I unfortunately couldn't get a regular entry slot. But I got really lucky. During a short time window, they let a few people take a brief look inside, so I'll share what I was able to see. By the way, the heat during that time was unbelievable. I think Japan gets hotter like every year. After lunch, I headed over to the Saudi Arabia pavilion. The first thing that struck me was the architecture. The exterior was incredibly impressive. I think it's inspired by traditional Saudi urban structures, and it reflects the country's history, culture, and heritage. Walking towards it felt almost like exploring cultural sites in Saudi Arabia itself. It had that sense of excitement and discovery. Inside, the exhibits ranged from artistic installations to displays about urban life, marine conservation, and other sustainable development initiatives. One thing that especially caught my attention was a section about restoring coral reef using 3D printed artificial corals. By attaching living coral tissues onto these printed structures, they can accelerate coral growth and support reef recovery. As a designer, especially someone who has worked a lot in product design, I've used 3D printers many times to make prototypes. And recently, 3D printing has expanded into all kinds of fields: medicine, caregiving, architecture, and more. So it was really fascinating to learn that the same technology is now being used for environmental conservation as well. We still had some time left in the evening, so we decided to visit the Oman pavilion. I didn't know much about this country, but the architecture immediately caught my eye. It had such a unique visual style. The contrast between the deep red and the silver elements combined with the transparency of the glass created a stunning balance. The pavilion's design is inspired by Oman's diverse natural landscapes and geological features. With themes like land, water, and people, the architecture expresses harmony between humans and nature. As night slowly settled in, the entire expo site began to glow. The illuminated pavilions looked even more striking, each one revealing its own character under the evening light. It was beautiful to witness how all these different countries and their unique worlds coexisted within the same space. And finally, just barely, we managed to get into the USA pavilion before closing. Right at the entrance, there were two massive screens on both sides showing footage of Earth and outer space. The scale was overwhelming, and it honestly gave me a bit of future space station feeling, almost like walking into something inspired by the International Space Station. Inside, the exhibits focused on fields where the US plays a major global role: technology, space exploration, education, culture, and entrepreneurship. There were also scenes about agriculture, music, and even baseball. So you could get a sense of how broad their innovations and culture really are. For me, the highlight by far was the space section. It felt like the entire pavilion was centered about it. I got to see footage of rocket launches, lunar exploration, and even missions to Mars. The final installation was especially fascinating. The room was surrounded by mirrors and screens on all sides. By the time I stepped out of the USA pavilion, it was already pretty late at night. The whole day went by so quickly, it honestly felt like just a moment. But the night view of the Expo was absolutely beautiful. The buildings were lit up in all kinds of colors. And there were fireworks too. It felt magical. It's a little sad that the Expo is only here for a limited time. But maybe that's exactly why each pavilion feels so special. Because you know this experience only exists in this one moment. As a creator, I really feel that events like this give me so much inspiration and a fresh perspective. Every exhibit, every space, every visual, it all becomes fuel for new ideas. So, if you ever have a chance to visit an exhibition or experience some art near you, I really recommend going for it. You never know, it might open a new door of inspiration inside you. Before heading home, we stopped by the Souvenir Shop to pick up something to remember the day. I usually try not to buy things because my place is already full of stuff. But today was such a fun day that I decided to at least get a sticker as a little memento. Thank you so much for watching this long vlog until the end. Today's video had a slightly different vibe since it was all about the Expo. But I hope you enjoyed it. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.